Well,
All
LaChelle, good to
right.
see you.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am really excited about my guest who I have today, Domonick Dixie. And we go way back to the beginning of my husband and I's journey together with parenting. He actually is the godfather of our oldest daughter. So we've known each other for quite some time. We lived that college life. He knew my husband from childhood. So I'm just excited just to have a conversation about life and, where it's taken us. It's really something to have these monumental events such as this global pandemic affect your life, but to be in the presence of people that you consider family, and have a spin and take on it and have a conversation of what kind of legacy we want to leave and all these different things that kind of go through our head. It's just great to have that conversation with someone you know. But before we get into all that, let me give Domonick the floor to introduce himself before we get started.
Hey, what's up, good people? So I was thinking, LaChelle, last night that I've known you for 30 years, and I know Jerome for 40. I've known Jerome for 40 years, so
Mhm.
definitely, indeed, family. But thank you for having me first and foremost, and just let everybody know I'm just an everyday kind of guy, loving life. I've, like you, have had some unique experiences, and I'm hoping to maybe share something that I've experienced along my journey, maybe share some insights that might help someone to become their best self, or just something that um, maybe perhaps could just help you see things in a different perspective. So let's get it on.
All right. So I guess the first thing, I hadn't even thought about this, but I love the organicness. So we started out, we're in school. You went through SPIA or did you go through the business school also?
SPIA,
Okay,
School
so
of
you went
Public
through
and
SPIA.
Environmental Affairs.
Okay, so you went through SPIA, I went through the business school. So, fast forward 30, 40 years later, are you where you thought you would be?
No,
Okay. Now,
I'm
so
I'm 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 not. And
okay.
go ahead. Go ahead with your
Yeah,
follow
so
up.
you finish that thought because we're both kind of deep thinkers there.
Yeah. I'm not. There's so many different parts of us, and
Mhm.
the significant apart, the higher level, the a priority things that make us who we are, like our personal development, our control of our minds and our blessings, our faculties. Um, there's so much more to us that we can become and do. We're probably operating at about 50 to 60% capacity if we really want to boil it down that way. So in certain areas, I've done a lot of work, um, and I'm satisfied
Mm.
and I'm happy. There's still a lot of work to do because with the experiences come wisdom.
Mhm.
And when you set aside your ego just for a moment, you can, if you're willing to do some introspection, there's certainly some things, if you want to become a better person, um, there's probably most people can agree that there's some things that they should work on, um, um, just to become lighter in spirit, etc. So, yes and no and yes. So,
Okay, I love that. And you bring up a good point about setting aside your ego. That was one of the things I had to unlearn, right? Because I was all on this track, school of business, highly competitive. I mean, everybody talked about, business school at IU,
yeah,
A core, B core. That was the highlight. And
yeah.
that really just set me up for now looking back. It was one of those things that put me on the road of always wanting to be in control, seeking validation from other people, people pleasing,
Mhm.
all these things that really led me on this spiral of depression. So,
Yeah.
my question to you would be what are some things you had to unlearn? You mentioned the ego part, but what else do you think stands out about
Um,
unlearning things to where you are today?
I might close my eyes because I'm thinking. If I do, please forgive me.
No worries.
Um, unlearning who the world taught me who I was. I
Mm.
mentioned before, there's so much more to us than meets the eye. So unlearning what the world uh, told me I was to be, opening my mind to knowing what I am to become. Um, that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing. A lot of us are. Let me speak for myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have certain gifts, and outside of the world trying to influence us in so many different ways, um, we lose our God-given identity somewhere along the way. Sometimes it happens early, sometimes it never happens for someone, and sometimes it happens late in their life. Um, when that happens, then that's where your real growth starts, you know, and that's where it's happened for me.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's awesome. Now, and so, you were a model. You had, all these things that people on the outside see, because you were one of the models for Kinko's, which, people might not even remember who that is, right? But it's like
right,
a FedEx, UPS, you know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
do you think some of those achievements made it harder to find you? Because you
Oh, I,
do have these different areas where you're kind of like that model person, you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, I'm grateful. I'm so grateful for all of my experiences, and thank you for bringing that memory back to me. I did do some modeling back in the day because someone said, you know what, you ought to consider modeling. And I said, you know what, that might be somebody telling me that I might be good at something. So I was open to it. I did it for a very short time
Mhm,
and enjoyed it and kind of moved on.
mm,
So it opened me up to how photography works, modeling, movies, commercials, etc. And I'm thankful for that. But just like that example, there are other examples where other people have said, "Yo, you might want to consider doing this," like Muay Thai. A friend of mine introduced me to that. Um, Painting, I got back into doing that, which is one of the areas that I had to like relearn or become reacquainted with that childhood love. I'm
mm.
actually pretty good. I think so.
That's good.
Um, and
You
so,
need to come and teach the kids. Hey, that'll be a project that I can go do some work while they paint.
yeah, it's interesting. I was having a conversation with my nephew Cameron just
Mhm,
last night, and he's in his early 30s, and I we never had an opportunity in our life to really connect because of life. And
mm,
I lived in another state; he did as well. But I was talking with him, and I was just exploring like, who is he? And
mhm,
I was like, you know, are you creative, or do you like to do anything outside of work? And he rattled off a few things like cooking and working out. And he used to paint, he used to rap, he used to do a number of things. And I kind of just kind of reminds me how sometimes life gets busy, or you develop new um, new hobbies. But those are some of the things that he liked to do. And he said that he was going to get back to him because it made him happy. And I shared a few things that I did as regarding some, the cooking, the painting, the drawing, the working out, the writing poetry. There's so many things that make us who we are, and tapping into that happiness is 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 one of the things that I've kind of, like you said, had to relearn how to do, um, because life gets busy and it gets hectic. So yeah,
love that. Now, so,
and and
go ahead.
if I might say, please forgive me if I'm being a little bit verbose, but I'm kind of excited, and I'm not used to being on camera and kind of hanging out with my friend doing this. So forgive me in advance.
Oh, you were doing great. Okay, I'm wishing I was outside. It's raining up here, so,
Is
that's
it?
the deal with that. Yeah.
Oh
But,
wow.
so the part about unlearning something, it takes a special type of skin. We have to let go of what we thought was the right way, explore different things.
Yeah.
learn how to not be good from the beginning. I mean, it's kind of like a total opposite, you know.
Yeah.
So for somebody who was at that point where they're like, you know what, I've tried everything that I should have tried. Let me try something new. What advice would you give them about, making that transition to unlearn
Be
something and getting in that
be
space?
ready. Be ready
Mhm,
because you're likely struggling with something. At least I was. And
mhm,
I was certain I was right.
mm,
But I told myself, and this was a Facebook post just the other day. It's a Buddhist proverb that says, "When the student is ready, the teachers will show."
mhm,
And I posted that on Facebook, and it so resonated with me, and it kept popping up over the months, in the
mhm,
past few months. So when it came to mind this time after a specific scenario, I said, "I got it. I'm ready," and I jumped in. And I voiced it to one of my closest friends, Dee Dee,
mhm,
and we agreed that it could be such a release for
mm,
you to be ready if and open to acknowledging your shortcoming in a certain area. And it may not even be a shortcoming. You could
mm,
be the very best at it, but to become better, you still want to be open and available, and be insightful enough to identify that pattern that you want to
mm.
correct, and just let life's examples, which are teachers, teach me um, how to be a better me right there.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, and that is it's such a good illustration because, my teachers, I have just been seeing that they are 22, 27. I had a person who I interviewed last week. He was 22. I thought, now, if I knew what at that age, I mean, Lord, I wouldn't even be where I'm at today. I mean, really.
Yeah.
So, I also want to add the fact that, these teachers are not the traditional teachers that you would think, because when you're open to learning stuff, I learned from my daughter who's 6 years old. It was so funny. Really quick, we
Yeah.
had one of our daughters, she's 22, Mackenzie.
Yeah.
She was going through a fast. So after she fasted, she started eating everything. So she got heartburn. So she goes in the kitchen and she's like, "Man, I got this heartburn." So we have a 6 year old daughter, Hope. She's like, "Oh, you should just have drank some milk. That'll help
Right.
with that." And so the 22-year-old's like, "Wait a minute, how did she even know that?" And so one of the other older sisters said, "Have you had heartburn before?" She was like, "Mm-mm, no."
Okay.
But she just knew what to say. So, I mean, even a 6-year-old can teach us if we're willing to learn. So I thought I'd add that in there.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. There's so much that you can learn. There's so much that can teach you, not just humans,
Mhm,
but animals.
mhm.
Nature can teach you. Um, so the lighter you get as a person by letting some stuff go, you'll be amazed by what's around you that can um,
Mhm.
teach you if you're willing.
That's
So
now, so what kind of things are you being open to learning as you bring up that?
there is no limit to what
Okay.
I'm willing to learn.
Mhm,
My emphasis now is on me as a being here, a spirit in this human experience. I
mhm,
want to fully feel that,
mm,
and largely we're emotional.
mhm,
Um, there's a physical part as well. First and foremost, the spiritual part.
mhm.
Um, Getting that in alignment and fully being satisfied there yields tremendous results in every aspect of your life. And that's where I am right now. So
That's awesome.
like you've mentioned before, there's academia,
Mhm,
there's the body of learning through sports, through your body learns muscle memory, for example. Your body remembers certain things. There's a learning about family when you're blessed to have one. Um, but where I am right now, it's all about, like, hey, being more patient
mhm.
with and more kind with myself and others. That's
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 awesome.
really where I am. And I think
That's
that's
good.
the wellspring of love.
That's
So
all.
once I get that down right, I'm be vibrating.
That's right.
You know what I'm
Now, so
saying?
do you think
I'm
this really happened?
vibrating up in this piece.
Hey, you already vibrating, okay? You see them trees moving back behind you?
Yeah, I know, right? I like. Well, your audience may not know, but I'm actually out at one of my favorite lakes in
Yeah.
Greenville, North Carolina. It's called Lake Park. So
Uh-huh.
naturally, I'm just in the grass, talking and moving around. But I wanted to stay kind of local. I got my little chair going on right there, somewhere back there.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right, there you saw it. Bam.
Now, so do you think you would have been at this place if we didn't have a pandemic, or do you think not?
I would have arrived here, but later,
Mm,
much later.
mhm.
The Great Pause, which is what this should be dubbed. Somebody should coin that. I
Mhm.
guess I just did. The
Amen.
Great
Amen.
Pause.
Mhm.
Um, it has been refreshing for so many people in that slowing them down and forcing them, not force, having the opportunity to become aware
Mhm.
of all the stuff that makes up your life has been a blessing to some and a curse to others.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, though, it's good to slow down and stop for prolonged periods of time. Professional athletes do it, like boxers and
Mhm.
MMA fighters. Even CEOs and executives and etc. Everybody who is a top performer, they know to take time off,
Mhm.
and this is for good for us. So as a top performer in our life, being our own hero,
Mhm.
it's a tremendous opportunity to do what we're doing, which is you continuing to reach out and help people become better. And
Mhm.
that person who's should be the own hero in their own life, to just say, look, I need to press my cape out. It's got a few wrinkles in it. You know what I'm
Amen.
saying?
Yes.
So, yeah.
I love that. And so there are people that are like, man, I'm down. I lost my job, or, I got to learn this technology. What is Zoom and all this
Yeah.
stuff? And they really feel intimidated. What advice would you give them about, moving forward, in a way that empowers them?
Don't be in a rush. Oh my
Mm,
goodness. Everything is so, I gotta hurry up and learn this. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. Like, yo, just
mm,
slow down. Don't put a rush on learning and
mm.
take it slow. Just that's it. Slow food, not fast food, baby.
I
Slow
love
food.
that.
Slow food. So that's what I would recommend, because okay,
I'm
you got your
writing it
list of
down.
things to do. You got your list of things to do. It's broken down in different parts of your life, and you're staring at about 30 things.
Mhm.
Just you don't have to. It just
Mm.
for me, my big one, because like you, I've wrestled with the big ugly monster,
Mhm.
depression,
Mhm.
and it can leave you all feeling all kind of ways, and it
Mm.
can have such deep and prolonged impacts on
Mm.
your life.
Mhm.
It can shake your soul. That's
Yeah.
what it can do.
Yeah.
But digging out of that and getting back to loving myself
Mhm.
and recognizing that I do got some things that I need to work out. I'm gonna take one or two and just take a bite. That's how you chew. That's how you eat an elephant. You take one bite at a time.
Mhm.
So, my issues with anxiety and depression started well when I was in college.
Wow.
It manifested first as some anxiety, and then there was what do you call it when you can't sleep at night? Insomniac.
Oh, yeah,
And
insomnia.
then
Mhm.
there were episodes, not frequent though, where I would just be like, "Yo, I don't feel right," and it was justified in retrospect. As I matured and
Mm,
had a chance, really did some looking. I was like, I was one of a few, I was a minority on campus,
mhm.
oftentimes the only minority in a lot of my classes, which were very
Classes.
large at times,
I
150
mean,
to 300 people.
right.
um, I've been kind of always kind of set aside, and it was just
Mhm,
childhood behavior because I got four sisters, and although
mm,
they loved me, I was still the only one. So
mhm.
I weighed 110 pounds. You'd look right over me. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't even see me. So I was like, sometimes I felt like some people couldn't see me, so I didn't want to make myself known. I just kind of sit back and observe and stuff. But the danger in that is that I, I needed someone to be able to help me process what I was learning. Because keep in mind, you know, being I don't want to get too far down the rabbit. Being a minority in the house, and then being a minority in school, and being a minority in your life,
Mhm.
it has a certain it lends a certain strength because you have no choice but to be if you really want to be who you are. But it also has it's such a burden sometimes. So moving forward, the depression piece, it showed up throughout my life. Some were circumstantial, based on scenarios, and others just kind of like, oh, this is like beyond that. It's not that. It's the chemical thing. The
Right.
good news is that the I was able to move in and out of it, and as I
Mhm.
developed tools to help me cope, one of which is being outside,
Amen.
breathing in that good prana, baby.
Yeah.
And,
I love
that
that.
my becoming more responsible with with my diet, which includes what I
Mhm,
eat and what I allow to and through my faculties.
mhm.
And the third one is that love piece. Loving and kindness have accelerated my transition out of lingering melancholy. Okay.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah, and you
So
brought up a good point. That's something that I hadn't even thought about for myself. With that whole thing of being the minority in classes, being the minority in the home. I was an only child, and I felt like I was a minority amongst a lot of my family members, cousins. The mindset, the opportunities that I had, and there was something to being raised with privilege. I think I got academic privilege,
okay.
and as a result of that, I never really knew how to love myself. I knew how to be the person to get the
Yeah.
next thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So to get the honor roll, I knew how to do that. I knew how
Yeah.
to be the one that was going to be chosen to be the spokesperson for, the group or
Yeah.
all these different things, but I never really knew how to love myself. So for people who were listening and they're like, well, I thought I loved myself because everybody, gave me praise and, I was on this journey. So what advice would you say about loving yourself?
Love where you are, however you are.
Mm,
Even as a child, and I was kind of set aside, I still love my childhood, and I would not give it up for nobody. You
mhm.
know, lower economic, lack of resources drives creativity and
Amen.
ingenuity. Um, so I'm not giving up none of that. And
Mhm.
because I always wanted a brother, that's where my
There you
sister,
go.
my
There you go.
sister-in-law. Okay,
No worries.
okay,
Okay, so
yeah,
you said you always wanted a brother.
and that's where Jerome fit in. Thank you
Mhm.
for helping me there.
Okay.
So just him and his family, I just love them. I love them. I don't want to name them off. It's a handful of them, but yeah. So
Mhm,
loving where you are, despite
mhm,
um, kind of the hard circumstances that you see,
mhm.
um, is where I would say to begin.
I
And you
love
could be homeless right now, or you
that.
could be lonely.
Mm,
The epitome of lonely, which is despair, living in a 9,000 square foot home. That's ugly. And I've experienced that before.
mhm.
Not a 9,000 square foot home, but I will
Hey.
one day though. You watch.
That's
You
right.
watch. So no, actually, not moving away from excess. I don't need a 9,000 square foot home.
Hey, man, you
My
know that's
demands don't
because
need
who's
that. So
cleaning it up, girl? I
so
mean, you know
so
what I'm saying? I'm not doing it.
so that's another thing. Starting where you are, loving where you are, and
Yeah.
just simplicity.
Mm-hmm.
Do inventory on your life
Yes.
and give yourself permission to let go of some things.
Yeah.
And the third one would be, besides letting go of some things, is to, if you've lived a while, you've earned some things. And one of the things that we've all earned is our smile. So remember to smile because you've earned it. And I smile a lot.
I love that.
So that helps me too. Like, I've been through some things. I've helped others go through some things. I've pushed and I've pulled and I'm here. And as you can tell, I'm still standing. So that makes me feel like, yo, that feeds into that self-love piece. But don't let nobody or nothing take your smile. Never.
I love that. Yeah. That's all my things. Smile for wellness. So I love that. Now, so,
Right.
we're talking about life is simple and, less is more. What are some things that you've learned that, you thought you couldn't live without, and now you find, man, it's not that bad without it?
What let me see. What can I live without that I thought that I wouldn't be able to live without, and it hasn't been
Absolutely.
bad?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, you know what? In a crooked kind of way, and I'm going to say this because it's important. We see ourselves handicapped in some ways, and like in the back of my mind, like I used to think that, I always walk with this limp because my heart got broken at some point.
Yeah.
Or the depression piece, like, oh man, I know this is gonna be a part of my life for a long time. I might as well just plan for it. Or, dang, so and so they didn't call me on a certain day like they said that they would, and I can tell that they probably don't like me no more. Letting that shit go. That has helped
That's a
me.
good one
And
right
I
there.
thought, I swore that was gonna linger in my life, but I put a stop to it. I was like, no more loitering. You got to go. You got to move
Amen.
on. Move on.
That is a good one because I'm telling you, I was on that journey of depression for 13 years. And I didn't realize that till I had to write a book with somebody.
Yes,
And once I really cataloged it, it's like 13 years. So I was really on that loop of thinking, there is nothing else. This is what life is. I mean, you think 13 years, that's a long time.
it's an insidious disease disorder, and it creeps into every facet of your life. And I tell you, if it wasn't for some people who love me unconditionally, who pushed me and who pulled me,
That's all right. I'm right there with you.
wow. And it takes that.
Yeah.
It takes that. It takes that letting go and letting go and letting people love you.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
letting go and letting people love you.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? I think that journey was so much harder for me because it was like, I'm used to having all the answers.
Yeah.
I'm used to doing everything. I'm used to just getting up and going and spearheading stuff. And to admit, you need help. You can't do this alone. You're going to wear yourself out. I mean, all these different things. I'm thinking, no, I got this. I can do this. And crazy. Okay,
Listen,
really.
Listen, let me tell you something. Um, in more ways than not, I can look back on my life and be like, I'm so thankful, but kind of laugh at it too.
Yeah.
Because, you know, learning to use the tools and applying them, absolutely. And getting better because you know to use your tools. So to know better is to do better. And, you know, it's amazing how much we don't realize that you got going on in your life, especially all the little things that are lingering in between the the east and west hemisphere. You know what I'm saying? The left and right, and you got the front and back, and it's all just getting jumbled up. That happened to me at one point in my life, and then I had an anxiety attack. Boom, first one ever. I felt like I stuck my finger in an electric socket, and I jumped up. And I told my friend, I said, "We got to get out of here. We got to get out of here." You know, so it was full blown. And they looked at me. They were like, "Okay, let's go outside." Looked me in the eye, slowed me down, said, "Dom, you're having an anxiety attack." I was like, "Okay, what is that? What I got to do?" Walk. So I walked around the block probably like 20 times. And as I got my final lap in and I pulled up to, I walked up my driveway, I started laughing because it was the first time that I totally lost control of my mind, my body. And I later grew to understand that there's a tremendous adrenaline release that gives you this stimulates your fight or flight response. And that's what made me feel like I needed to escape and run away and save whoever was in the house. But looking at it for what it is, and times like this, leveraging them to say, yo, I was actually feeling kind of like I needed a rewire before COVID hit. And using this time wisely to start picking away and pruning this, your life. Your life. You know, you think your family is who you got, and most of the time, your family is not your blood; it's your friends who God put in your life. We've seen anything that rings truer now than more ever before is love, and that we need to look out for us because here's my political spin: the powers that be don't even care about us, really. There's some good doers and there's some structure that benefits a lot of people, but you know, the number of people that you know, one COVID check since March, it's almost the end of the year. There have been a tremendous amount of cuts to all different types of budgets, social, that are designed to help people that truly absolutely need it in their life for extenuating circumstances. So if you take a look at how employers would just replace you like instantly, or even when something like this hit and you've been 20 years on the job and you only got 5 more to go, boom, and you just dissolves in front of your life. You've got the constant is that love piece. That's the constant. And clearing the clutter. Clearing the clutter helped me to kind of really like you said, unlearn some things. So yeah.
So true, and I love that, you know, we always wait for somebody else, you know, the fact that you mentioned, like, the political situation. You know, we wait for somebody else to be our hero. We get too caught up in that Kool-Aid of Superman, Batman, right? Having these heroes that come to our rescue when our real, rescuer is ourselves. You know, we
Yeah.
have to go within, you know?
Yeah. Excuse me.
Mhm. So, yeah, we can hear you. No, you're muted.
Telephone ring again.
Okay, there you go. You're just
Okay.
popular. Hey, news must be getting out that you're live.
Hey, hey. I see the paparazzi somewhere around here. Let me go sit down a little bit so I can get my profile on.
Okay. So what advice do you want to conclude and leave everybody with today? You know, as we go through this weekend, we're going into, you know, we're getting close to 2021.
Yeah.
You know, what words of wisdom do you wish that someone had told you that you
Ooh,
would like to tell? Yeah.
Um, One thing that's really helped me in life, and speaking for myself,
Mm-hmm.
is being um, present enough to learn from other people's mistakes.
Mm.
So, when I went to college, a buddy of mine was like, "Man, before you go, don't get no credit cards because they're gonna be coming from out of every corner." I avoided them the whole time, and I escaped with minimal student debt.
Amen.
So, um, I listened to a snippet just
Mm-hmm.
the other day, and I'm going to land my plane here in answering your question. The grandson asked his grandfather, if you could change anything. And his grandfather's like 89, 90, he's up there with a cane and everything, sitting in
Mm-hmm.
a recliner chair. He said, Grandpa, if you could do one thing that you would do over in your life, what would it be? He said that he would um, work for himself. He'd own his own business. And I
Mm.
think that's resonating with a lot of people now in light of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Um, People are like, hey, I'm sitting on some talent. Let me see what's going to do for me. And then the second piece of that conversation was that he said that he would avoid debt. So
Mm.
those two things resonated with me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but also, what I'd like to leave for the audience is, I don't know, nothing really profound. Hopefully, what I said is is something that is good that you can use.
Mm-hmm.
Be grateful.
Mm-hmm.
Be grateful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Also, be kind.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Remember that things do take normally a little longer than what you want, so be patient.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Watch your diet, both what
Mm-hmm.
you think, what you consume,
Mm.
by letting in whatever into your senses, and also what you eat. Get as close to plant based and fruit based as possible. I'm working on
Mm-hmm.
that.
I know that's right.
And learn the art and the skill of managing your thought life.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, baby girl, how you doing? Learning
Uncle
to manage
Dom,
your
yeah, she
thought
doesn't
life,
meet a stranger.
and that's a good quality.
Mm-hmm.
Managing your thought life. It's a, it's
Mm-hmm.
not spoken enough about. It needs to
Yes.
be. It's more than just motivation. It's more than just being disciplined. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Underneath all of that is your thought life. And
Mm-hmm.
if, like most people, you've struggled with any form of mental health issues, whether it's melancholy, anxiety, PTSD, bipolar, um, take your pick.
Mm-hmm.
Um, be mindful that there's it doesn't have to stay flowing. Just monitor your thought life.
Mm.
Help with that. Just get the help because it's worth it.
That's good.
Yeah,
I love that. It doesn't have to stay flawed.
that's right.
Like you didn't taught me about slow food and the mindset doesn't have to stay flawed. That is so good. And I think the hardest thing with that is, just like you said, your mindset doesn't have to stay flawed. We take on this belief that if the mindset is flawed, we're flawed,
Hmm.
but you can fix that. It doesn't have to be a reflection of what you are or are not.
Yeah,
It's just that you can fix it. So I think that's one of the things that makes it hard for people to be expressive and admit certain things because they look at themselves as being less than because of whatever situation they're struggling with.
yeah. Let
I
me.
can only say that for myself. I just,
Yeah, absolutely. That's so true. Like one time when we were discussing, um, we were talking about processes, and I was like, I learned an adage or an acronym system. Save yourself time,
yeah.
money. Um, all all corporations, businesses have systems that drive efficiency, which drive productivity, which drive profit.
Mm-hmm.
So learning to, for me, I'm speaking for me now,
Mm-hmm.
setting a system up for myself in the morning and
Mm-hmm.
throughout my day has helped me navigate myself to a healthier life. For example, in the morning I wake up and I say some things to myself that lift me up. And while I'm saying those things, I relax and I allow whatever tingles in my head to happen. Tingle, baby.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I get up and I get myself some water and I make myself this incredibly delicious shake.
Mm-hmm.
Got kale, oatmeal, pineapple juice, almond milk, oatmeal, and flaxseed, and sometimes bananas, and sometimes I put blueberries in them. I drink that,
Mm-hmm.
and it just takes like, God is just putting his finger down my throat, and everything that's there is just going through my body and lighting it up.
Amen.
And then I just approach my day um, in small increments. That's my system. That prevents me
Mm-hmm.
from overthinking anything. And when something pops in my head that shouldn't, I'm better at looking at it and going, "What's up, man? How you doing? All right, I'll see you later." Just let it go. It don't have to stay. No more loitering.
So true.
No more loitering. So,
Yes.
um, and that's that tying that back into that managing your thought life. You know,
Yeah.
so
I
that
love
diet,
that.
thought diet, that thought
Now,
diet.
do you put honey in the smoothie?
I don't. What?
Okay.
Yeah, one thing. It's already sweet enough.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't.
Okay. And then the other question is, how small are these increments? Because somebody who's watching, they're like, man, I don't know if I can only do just 10 minutes. Is that too small? You know what I'm saying? So talk to us about those small increments.
Small increments. What happened for me is I
Mm-hmm.
started to build on successes throughout the day. So the
Mm-hmm.
first thing I do, and the first thing I started doing is I get up out of bed and I make my bed. And then I wouldn't be concerned about anything else during the day from a systematic standpoint. Once I
Amen.
got into the habit of making my bed, which I don't even think twice about anymore, it just comes naturally, then that's where my water intake occurred. I was like, okay, I'm cool here. This is all, you know, automatic. So I got my water in. And then after I got my water in, I was like, okay, cool. And then I would incorporate like just breathing in 10 times and letting go
Mm-hmm.
10 times, nice and slow. I don't do that every day, but most days I do. I either do that or I stand up and I bend over and I put my palms to the floor to stretch. Then I pull my ankle up to my buttock, each ankle.
Mm-hmm.
And then, my wardrobe is very simple. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to be fancy. I don't know. I just like the way that I dress. So, but I don't have extreme variety.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
simplifies the process of selecting clothes and putting them on.
Mm-hmm.
And so the point I'm trying to drive home is I did one thing and then added another and then added
Mm-hmm.
another, then added another until I looked up and I'm looking in the mirror and I see that I'm smiling at myself.
Amen.
Yeah. So
That's good. A great analogy, because that was one of the first things I had to do was make my bed. It was something about making up the bed shows you that you are successful at something first thing in the morning when you get up. So
yeah,
you're like, you can do something successfully, then that's the mindset that's taken over all day rather than you
yeah,
waking up and feeling like you're a failure,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
then you
And that
start looking for success. More success leaves clues. So you start looking for ways to show yourself that you are successful. So you made your bed. What else are you going to do? Kind of gives you a different platform.
exactly. And
Mhm.
be mindful that how you can be at a dinner
Mhm.
engagement and there's jazz playing in the background.
Mhm.
Well, in the morning, as I'm engaging this system or this process, regardless of how small or large, till I get
Mm-hmm.
rolling, is I'm expressing gratitude.
Mm.
And as I'm saying these things that I'm happy about and thankful for, it opens me up like kind of like a flower so that I can receive more of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like saying to myself, like jazz plays in the background at a fine dining occasion, thank you for such a wonderful day. Thank you for an incredible night's rest. Thank you for this shake that I'm about to bust up because it's going to be the bomb again, like it was yesterday. You know,
I
that kind
love
of
that.
stuff. Yeah.
You know
Thank
what? And I love the fact that you mentioned that about the music, because somebody who's watching, you know how like you can tell everything about this dream experience that you want. You know,
Yeah.
down to the music that's playing, the people that's there. Well, start recreating that. Start with the music first. Play it in the background while you're doing whatever. And
Yeah.
then, get some magazine cutouts. That's
Hmm.
the people. Begin to create a prototype of whatever it is that you're dreaming.
Yeah.
And the more elements you add to that, the sooner you can manifest it for yourself.
And as you're doing that and it starts to feel uncomfortable, remember
Mhm.
to be kind and patient with yourself.
Mm. Good
To
point.
back off a little bit and then try something different that will work a little better.
I love that. That's good. Mhm. So, yeah. Well, we cover quite a bit today. This has just been wonderful. So, I
Thank
encourage you guys to reach out to Dom. What's the best way for them to reach out to you?
you. I guess you can go ahead. I should be ready for this question, huh? Dang. You won't mess it up. 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 Don't give out your phone number. Don't give out your phone. No, actually, they can reach me at domdixie@gmail.com. Domdixie
Okay.
at gmail.com. Um,
Mhm.
I do
Yeah,
own a
because you might
consulting.
have some raving fans. You see what I'm saying?
I might. I might have to give restraining orders. Let's hope not. But some of the things that I like to do, like you, is I like to help build people.
Mhm.
I do have a master's in business administration,
Mhm.
undergrad degree in communications from Indiana University,
Yes.
project management. I earned my PMP certification. So all those are tucked up under Apple Tree Notary and Apple Tree
Mhm.
Consulting Group. So,
Mhm.
anyways, in any fashion, way, shape, or form, if anyone needs any consulting business, consulting help, um, the truth is businesses are getting back to business. And
Yes.
are you ready? Are you
Yeah.
ready for 2021? Is your
Right.
plan tight? What's your marketing look like? What about your
Mhm.
advertising budget? What's your
Mhm.
overhead look like? I can help fine tune so that you can get off to the great start 2021. So, and outside of that, if um, anyone, but in particular, someone who may be suffering from, like a mental health
Mhm.
disorder, I want them to get help.
Mhm.
And at the end of the day, if someone wants to, talk to me about my experiences and what I've done to move beyond, I'm certainly
Mhm.
willing to help because it's
Mhm.
it's important. It's
Mhm.
important, particularly minority men. Uh,
Mhm.
so
So true. And I mean, I love that you bring that up. And I think another thing to even close with that on is that, once you face depression, a lot of people say, oh, I've had that. I'm done with that. It is a practice that you
it's
have to keep overcoming sometimes that experience, because it
yeah,
comes at different levels.
it really does. And
Mhm.
as it does that, there are ways to mitigate
Right.
the suffering that goes along with it, which is absolutely fucking amazing. It
Mhm.
involves, people having important people in your life that love you, who can push and pull you when you need it. But
Mhm.
the real power lies in um, your ability to just reconstruct your life
Mm-hmm.
Just grab it and hug it and say, I'm gonna make you do what I want you to do
Amen.
because I love me. And if you're gonna be there with me and I'm looking at you every day in the mirror, we got some work to do.
Mm-hmm.
It can get better and better and better and better. And next thing you know, you're thinking, man, I ain't had an episode in forever. I can't even remember the last time I
Amen.
had something going on. You
Amen.
know? So,
Yeah.
yep.
Love it. Well, this has been great. So you
Yes,
guys
it
reach
is.
out to Dom. Okay. He is happy to share his experiences and do some consulting. I'm telling you, you know, get started with your own business. If you have a 9 to 5, that's good, but you can always have multiple streams of income. You can continue to build a legacy while you're working. So
Yeah.
reach out to him. He can give you some consulting tips on that. And we just want to thank you for spending this time with us. This has been a great time of
Thank you.
connecting and, sharing and being authentic. People need that. Turn off that election news and get some real news that's going to serve you and help you be a better version of yourself.
That's
So
gonna
thank
spark
y'all
that
for
fire.
watching.
Thank you. It's been a tremendous. I've enjoyed it tremendously.
So we just want to
Thank you.
thank y'all for joining us, and we will see y'all on the next episode. Okay. Y'all have a great afternoon.
All right, thank you.